Welcome to my channel. In the last video, I have discussed what is called residue and how to calculate residue of a function at isolated singularities. Now here, we'll apply residue to evaluate complex integrations. Regarding this, we have a very important theorem which is called Cauchy residue theorem. So let's see how it works. It says that gamma be a closed Jordan curve and fz be analytic within and on gamma except for finite number of isolated singularities say zk for k equal to 1 to n. So there are n number of isolated singularities in I gamma. I gamma means interior of gamma. Then integral over gamma fz dz is equal to 2 pi I times sum of all residues of f at the singularities zk for k equal to 1 to n. So fz is analytic within and on gamma except for this z1, z2, zn. There are n number of singularities of the function fz which are situated inside gamma. They cannot be on gamma. So that is the restriction. So whenever the function fz is analytic within and on gamma except for a finite number of isolated singularities which are situated inside gamma, then we have integral over gamma fz dz as 2 pi I times sum of all residues. Now previously we have seen in Cauchy-Goursat theorem that if a function fz be analytic within and on gamma, fz is analytic within and on gamma, then integral over gamma fz dz is equal to 0. Now if there are finite number of singularities situated inside gamma, then Cauchy-Goursat theorem fails, which motivates us to generalize Cauchy-Goursat theorem. Regarding this, we have already done a theorem which is called Cauchy integral theorem. So there we have seen we can evaluate a very particular kind of integral. That means if we integrate gz dz over gamma and gz has a singularity say z0 which is a pole kind of singularity. If it is a simple pole, that means if I can write this as fz by z minus z0 over gamma, where fz is analytic within and on gamma and z0 is a point inside gamma. That means gz has an isolated singularity which is a pole kind of singularity inside gamma. Then we can evaluate this integral by Cauchy integral theorem, which is given by 2 pi I times f of z0. Similarly, we have the derivative form of Cauchy integral theorem. There we have seen if we integrate gz along gamma, and gz can be written as fz dz by z minus z0 power n plus 1, where z0 is an interior of gamma and fz is analytic within and on gamma, then we can apply the derivative form of Cauchy integral theorem, and we get 2 pi I by n factorial into nth order derivative of f evaluated at the point z0. And in the singularity chapter we have seen, if a function gz can be written as fz by z minus z0 power n plus 1, where fz is analytic in the neighborhood of z0 and f of z0 is not equal to 0, then z0 is a pole of order n plus 1. So here we can see whenever the function gz has pole kind of isolated singularity inside gamma, then only we can apply Cauchy integral theorem. These kinds of restrictions are not there in Cauchy residue theorem. So Cauchy residue theorem is a generalization of Cauchy-Greuze theorem. Also, if there is no singularity of fz within and on gamma, then the residue theorem reduces to Cauchy-Greuze theorem. Let us take integral over gamma z e power 1 by z dz, where gamma is mod z equal to 1. So our gamma is a circle with center 0 and radius 1. So which is a closed Jordan curve gamma. And here, what are the singularities of the function fz? So here our fz is z e power 1 by z. And from here we can see z equal to 0 is an isolated singularity of the function fz, which belongs to interior of gamma. So here we have 0. So 0 belongs to interior of gamma. Now we can see z equal to 0 is not a pole kind of isolated singularity, because we cannot write fz in the form of phi z by z minus z0. So let us expand the function fz in Lorentz series expansion. So if we expand e power 1 by z, we'll get 1 plus 1 by z plus 1 by 2 factorial into z square plus 1 by 3 factorial into z cube plus 1 by 4 factorial into z power 4 and so on. So from here we are getting z plus 1 plus 1 by 2 factorial into z plus 1 by 3 factorial into z square and so on. So here we can see in the principal part of Lorentz series expansion, we have infinitely many terms. So z equal to 0 is an essential singularity. Now if we want to apply Cauchy residue theorem to evaluate this integral, we require residue of the function f at the point 0. So the residue of f at the point 0 is given by the coefficient of 1 by z minus 0 in the Lorentz series expansion, which is equal to 1 by 2 factorial, that is equal to 1 by 2. So by Cauchy residue theorem we have integral over gamma z e power 1 by z dz, that is equal to 2 pi I times residue of f at the point 0. So it is 2 pi I times half. So the value is pi I. Next, let us take integral over gamma e power z by z minus pi power 3 dz, where gamma is mod z equal to 4. So which is a circle with center 0 and radius 4. Here is the point 4, 0, minus of 4, 0. Now what are the singularities of the function fz? So here fz equal to e power z by z minus pi cube. So for singularities of the function fz, we'll equate the denominator to 0 and we get singularity of fz is z is equal to pi. Now the value of pi is equal to 3.14 approximately. So this belongs to interior of gamma because this is a circle with center 0 and radius 4. So pi is situated inside gamma. So now if we apply the residue theorem, we'll get integral over gamma e power z by z minus pi power 3 dz equal to 2 pi I times residue of f at the point pi. Now we see fz is equal to e power z by z minus pi power 3. In the video regarding singularity and residues, we have seen if a function fz can be written as phi z by z minus z0 power m, where phi z is analytic and phi of z0 is not equal to 0, then z0 is a pole of order m, and also we can find the residue of f at the point z0 by phi m minus 1 z0 by m minus 1 factorial. So if we use the result over here, we'll see here our phi z is e power z, where phi z is analytic in the neighborhood of z0, that is pi, and phi of pi is equal to e power pi, which is not equal to 0. So we can conclude that z equal to pi is a pole of order 3. So the residue of f at the point pi can be evaluated from this formula, which is given by phi m minus 1th order derivative of phi at the point z0. So here m is equal to 3. So the second order derivative of phi evaluated at the point pi divided by 2 factorial. Here phi z equal to e power z, phi dashed of z equal to e power z, phi double dashed of z is also equal to e power z. So here we are getting e power pi divided by 2. So integral over gamma e power z by z minus pi cube dz equal to 2 pi I times e power pi by 2, that is equal to e power pi into pi I. Next, let us evaluate integral over gamma z square plus z minus 1 by z square minus of 1 z minus of 3 dz, where gamma is a circle with center 0 and radius 2. This is the point 2, 0, minus of 2, 0. Here we have a point 3, 0. Here we have 1, 1, 0, and minus of 1, 0. Now, what are the singularities of the function f z? So, for this, we'll equate the denominator to 0. So, for singularities of f z, we'll equate z square minus 1 into z minus 2 to 0. Here we are getting z square minus 1 equal to 0 and z minus 3 equal to 0. So, z equal to plus 1, minus of 1 and 3. Here we can see only z equal to 1 and minus 1 are situated interior of gamma, and the point 3 is situated over here. So we'll not consider 3 because 3 is not belongs to I gamma, but 3 does not belong to I gamma. So if we use Cauchy residue theorem, by Cauchy residue theorem we have integral over gamma z square plus z minus of 1 by z square minus of 1 z minus of 3 dz, that is equal to 2 pi I times residue of f at the point 1 and plus residue of f at the point minus 1, because only 1 and minus 1, these are the two singularities of the function fz which are situated inside gamma. So now our task is to determine residue of f at 1 and minus 1. So for this we can see now if z can be written as z plus 1, z minus of 1, z minus of 3. So here we can see by z minus of 1 into z minus of 3 divided by z minus of 1. That means, so this is our phi 1 of z, z minus of 1, where phi 1 z is analytic in the neighborhood of minus of 1, and phi of minus of 1 is not equal to 0. If we put my z equal to minus of 1 over here, we'll get it is not equal to 0. So z equal to minus of 1 is a simple pole. So for simple pole, residue of f at the point minus 1, we are getting minus of 1 z plus 1 into z square plus z minus of 1 by z plus 1, z minus 1 and z minus of 3. So from here we are getting z square plus z minus of 1, z minus of 1 into z minus of 3, that is equal to 1 minus of 1 minus of 1 by minus of 2 into minus of 4, that is equal to minus of 1 by 8. Similarly, if we write fz as z square plus z minus of 1 by z plus 1 into z minus of 3, divided by z minus of 1. So the numerator is say phi to z and z minus of 1. So phi to z is analytic in the neighborhood of 1, and phi 2 of 1 is equal to 1 plus 1 minus of 1 by 2 into 1 minus of 3, that is minus of 2, minus of 1 by 4 not equal to 0. So we can see z equal to 1 is a simple pole. So we can get the residue of f at 1 as limit z tends to 1, z minus of 1 into fz, which is z minus of 1, z plus 1, z minus of 3, that is equal to 1 plus 1 minus of 1 by 2 into minus of 2, that is equal to minus of 1 by 4. So here we get integral over gamma z square plus z minus of 1 by z square minus of 1 into z minus of 3 dz equal to 2 pi I times residue of f at the point minus 1 and residue of f at the point plus 1, which is equal to residue of f at minus 1 is minus of 1 by 8 and it is minus of 1 by 4. So it is 2 pi I times minus of 3 by 8. So it is 3 pi I by 4. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, then please like and subscribe my channel.